June 18th, 2008. I packed my bags, waved goodbye to my American family. I was coming back to Azerbaijan with 2 extra suitcases, 20 additional pounds, and lots of lessons that I learned from my Flex experience. Those lessons have been guiding me like a lighthouse ever since. I'm gonna share 3 of them with you today. The first and important one I learned was that dedication is the key. I lived my first 16 years in Lankaran, a southern region in Azerbaijan, mostly known for being a conservative region with early marriage issues. I was lucky enough to be born to a mother who was supportive enough of all my dreams, no matter how impossible they seemed to be at the moment. It was because of her encouragement that I was dreaming of becoming an astronaut one day, a lawyer the other day, or a diplomat the next day. But despite everything, it was so hard to break through the glass ceiling society had set for the women. Dreaming of flying to the US, living with a family that you had never met before, living in a culture that was so alien to the one you were brought up to, was like a taboo for the real life girl. These all changed the day I sat on the plane, and went to New Oxford, Pennsylvania. The Flex alumni, we know how hard it is the first days of our American lives. The first days of the anxious high school, facing your problems alone, the urge of escaping the unsettling environment. I remember my very first day at school, the 3rd class, computer keyboarding. I was so relaxed, so proud of myself for almost surviving the first day. I even gave myself a little pat on the back, like, "You got this, kiddo, you're good." And then I experienced my very first cultural shock. As my partner, I was assigned a guy, a 6 feet tall guy, who was wearing baggy jeans that stood very low on his waist, an oversized t-shirt that had Monster written all over it. He was wearing his baseball cap backwards and had 2 huge holes on his ears. My mouth dropped as soon as I sighted those, and apparently I was staring at him for too long enough before he asked, "Hey, you're new." I said yes, forcing a smile on my face to hide the scared cheek expression otherwise plastered. And then he said, "Okay, cool, let's hang after school." So there was nothing wrong with his offer, but as a small village girl I got scared because of the impression he gave me. With a quick no, I turned around, did not talk to him at all, and dropped out of that class immediately. I signed up for the next one, art, and soon I realized that my knowledge of art did not go beyond the D+, which was unacceptable for a Flex student. So I had to drop the class again. Every single cell in my body was forcing me to quit, but then I remembered the fights I had to fight to get where I was then. I did not come all the way to the US. I did not fight all the popular culture of the village, did not go against their cultural beliefs to quit the first hardship I faced. So I decided to try again. It took me long hours of sketching, hundreds of failed attempts, but at the end of the semester, I finished my class with an A+ and an invitation handed to the National Arts Honor Society. That year, I was the only one out of the 372 graduating class of New Oxford High School that was walking to the graduation with 4 different colorful cords on her gown, each one representing different honor societies of the school, to which students were chosen based on academic and leadership skills. When I was walking on the stage to get my diploma, somewhere far in the distance, I saw that little girl in Lankaran, dreaming of the impossible, and I smiled at her. That was the moment I realized that with her dreams and my dedication, we can break all the stereotypes. We can win everything. The second lesson I learned was that blood does not make the family. People do. As I mentioned, I was very introvert growing up, and I was so attached to my family that leaving them behind and starting a new life with the people I had never met before was a nightmare. But I did it anyways. Until the plane touched down at the Harrisburg International Airport, I was so nervous. I didn't know these people. But from the very first moment I met Kay and Jean Jones, I knew that my family, my American life, would be full of fun adventures. Those 2 people, their 5 children and 6 grandchildren, became the centerpiece of my American life. All those long hours of going to Scranton to see the Penguins play hockey, or cheering for the Raiders at the Shippensburg University, and trying the amazing Amish cuisine in Lancaster County, my host dad Jean giving me a hard time every time I had sore muscles after volleyball, or my host mom Kay, she was teasing me whenever I went for both mashed potatoes and french fries at the dinner table. These are the amazing memories I will cherish forever. What I learned was that this family and the international array of friends I met that year, those are the family that I was not born to, but grew into. Those special bonds that started forming the very first moment I stepped in the arrivals terminal at the airport has been growing ever since. And despite 10 years, every time I see my host family or see one of those international friends at some part of the world, some kind of warm feeling hugs my heart, because I am once again reminded that I am so blessed to have a piece of family everywhere in the world. This family is not united by blood, but we are together for love, care, and the wonderful experiences. So the third lesson I learned was that the more you give, the more you receive. Until my Flex experience, I was not really familiar with that social responsibility term. But when I was in New Oxford, I saw these people are doing so much wonderful things for me that I decided to give back to society. I started volunteering at the soup kitchen, serving the homeless, trying to help with the Christmas tours at the local church, or spending some quality time with the elderly at the nursing home. All those impressions I got from them was rewarding beyond the words. Back then, I did not know that when you give something to someone, when you make them happy, it bounces back into your life, doubled in size. It was because of all the wonderful memories I had in the US that when I came back, I was going through a reverse culture shock. You know how we miss our American families and lives and we just want to go back? My mom gave me the most brilliant idea ever. She said, if you're missing your American life so much, why don't you sit down and write all about it? It seemed like a perfect idea. And that's how writing down all my experiences on a Word document was born. When I was writing it, I didn't have any vision for it. But 2 years later, my memoir was published as the first Flex book to serve for the future Flex students as the guide. This is it, by the way. Thank you. So what started as an appreciation to my American family and host society turned out into something beautiful, a manual for the young boys and girls out there who are probably as hesitant as I was during my experience. They say life is a journey. If that is the case, then my journey started as a little girl from Lankaran, a mother who believed in her, and an exchange program that changed the future, that gave the path to a better future. It was the same little girl who turned into someone that 2 years later she could bravely stand in front of 50 young high school girls at the Girls Leading Our Camp summer camp, which brings all the young girls from different regions of Azerbaijan to support their dreams. I was standing there in front of them, giving them ideas about how to believe in their goals, how to continue their education, and how to support each other along the way. I was so confident when I was persuading them that they can believe in themselves, because just a while ago, I was one of them. And maybe it's a coincidence that when I was just writing this speech, I received a message from one of those girls on Facebook. She went to school in Geneva after the camp, and now at the age of 23, she is starting her own business in the United States. Her message was very short, but also to the point. It read, I just wanted to let you know that how inspired I was by your speech at the camp, and that how you let change a life. That right there was the biggest accomplishment of the girl from Lankaran. Thank you.